I know all too well the realities of coming from a background where you're financially excluded from the financial ecosystem. And it's perhaps one of the greatest challenges of our time. How do we build a financial ecosystem that drives inclusion and participation of everybody, even those at the margins of society? And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about a digital revolution driven by these incredible lads here at Ozow. Let's chat a little bit about what Ozow is, but before we do that, I think it's important that we start with this brief video. Have a look at this.
There's certain barriers that are there in front of us. Mentally too, I mean, it's mentally draining to go outside and standing in lines.
It costs a lot, even especially if you want to go with your child to go to the shops. You have to catch a local taxi that is going to take you to the taxi rank. And then from the taxi rank, you're gonna catch the taxi to town.
Imagine an old lady like she's 80 standing at a ShopRite line for close to a half an hour only to get into the next queue.
It is very dangerous to have cash on you. It's not safe.
When it comes to South Africa, in terms of data, you know that data is like a killer. You know, like everybody, that's the main topic that everybody is concerned over, like data and all of that.
Well, we have smartphones. They're very affordable. We can buy them. We don't have instant access to internet connection.
That's the major scare, like when it comes to like online things, because like you would find that people are skeptical to go online because they're not sure whether or not this is going to chow my data, you know what I mean?
Not having cash on me, I think it will be very helpful for me and my community. And because no matter somebody can come thinking of smuggling me, they won't have anything on me.
That would mean many opportunities. Even entrepreneurship would move quicker because now we get to order stuff online.
It will save a lot of money. Yo, that was easy.
Okay, yo, that was quick though.
Guys, this is very quick, guys. This is fast and it's very easy.
Fast, easy, quick. Great words, right? And you'd be forgiven for looking and going, well, that's a great marketing message. It's actually not. It works and it does exactly what it promises to do. So I'm going to ask the CEO of Ozow to have a conversation with me now. How are you, brother?
How are you, Vusi?
I love your accent. It sounds very Free State.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
It's the first time I hear that.
Wherever you're from, it starts with an F. Where are you from?
France.
Ah, well,
France.
there we go. There we go. So that's your party trick. You don't really need an introduction when you walk into a place. You use the French accent, and all the ladies are falling at your feet.
Absolutely. So it sounds a lot sexier when I talk, you know. But yeah, it's a great icebreaker wherever to go.
So I'm curious on this. How does a Frenchman like yourself find himself in South Africa answering a question about financial and digital inclusion? What was behind that?
Look, obviously, I think the main reason why 99% of foreigners are in South Africa is a partner.
Right.
That's what I've seen over the past few years. So I was minding my own business in Europe and got to meet this beautiful South African that ultimately made me come to this beautiful country, showing me Cape Town and the city around. And I just ultimately fell in love with it. And we ended up moving here about 16 years ago already.
Excellent.
So, and I think one of the things that you learn as a European when you come to Africa or South Africa is the need there is as a community to help one another,
right.
Be impactful.
Right.
And, you know, having had the opportunity as an entrepreneur over the past 15 years to grow businesses in South Africa, what we've realized is the impact that we can have in building businesses that have solution to a problem that we're facing today. So you talk about financial inclusion, you talk about digital inclusion. That's exactly what we offer.
So for me, the payment space is an interesting space to get into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of at a high level, what were the key issues that made you go, payment space is the space where we want to play?
So I think numbers do the talking. 1 in 8 South African are empowered to be able to use a credit card. When you talk about South African overall, 7 out of 8 South African have a bank account. So ultimately, the problem that we were able to identify is if we could solve a way for South African to be able to transact from a bank account to paying someone, from a peer-to-peer payment to a merchant, ultimately we'll be able to solve quite a big problem nationwide for South African.
But also, it seems to me that there's a huge opportunity here to play in the space of addressing inequality, arguably South Africa's biggest devil right now, right?
Absolutely.
Because a big part of what exacerbates the inequality gap is the fact that our financial system is just so stratified across who has access and who doesn't have access, yeah?
You talk about that, and I think for us, we're a business that's driven by purpose and impact.
Right.
You talk about the French background, but you talk about inequality, you talk about limitation to access. You listen to the testimonials that we collected directly from the township, and the 3 main core problem is access to data. The second one is being able to remove cash, but more importantly is also the vernacular aspect. So there is this challenge where everyone is carrying cash around. I remember the first year that I arrived in South Africa, I was basically paying my gardener and I saw him putting cash in his socks. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you putting cash in your socks? And he says, listen, I have to take a taxi. It's the 25th of the month. Everyone knows that people get paid and I might get searched and I need to basically protect it.
Sure.
But he has a bank account. So, as 3 founders, and more importantly, a background of wanting to solve problem, we realized that, there need to be change in this country when it comes to payment. You talk about quite a dramatic problem. When you listen to what was discussed on that video, it's something that's affecting millions and millions of South Africans.
100%.
So we thought about it and we came to a common agreement and we said, from a credibility perspective, who would be better than a French person to start a revolution? And that's what we started with. We said, change starts with ourselves. And we are empowered to be able to make an impact, to be able to make a change in people's life. We've seen it today over the past 6 years with, South African basically starting using us in the millions, hundreds of thousands basically coming every month to start using us. And then we started listening as a market-led company as to what was the problem and how do we solve them. So as much as we started this revolution, we needed help. So who better than my partner from a tech perspective to solve the issues that we have from a financial inclusion, which seems to be a buzzword for the past few years, you have to say.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, one of my colleagues, Dan, was mentioning, it's also about digital inclusion because you can solve the financial aspect, but then how do you empower people with access to data?
There's something very interesting in this conversation, right? Because one of the things we talk about, one of the inhibitors to the financial inclusion question is the ubiquity of technology. So there's almost the assumption that you can just access the technology anywhere you are, like you would in many other parts, particularly of the Northern Hemisphere, right?
Absolutely.
For me, what was really exciting when I had a look at your platform was this idea that actually you can do that, particularly because I'm not needing to worry about space on my phone. I'm not needing to worry about cost of data. So I'm gonna go to Mitch in a minute, but just help me understand this. And by the way, I asked this as somebody who just had to have space wiped on his phone because it just got cluttered. One of those where you end up with like 6,000 images and like 4,000 videos, and you go, how did I get here? All right. So what have you done in terms of this space on phone and data cost story? And by the way, you can't do anything digital in South Africa without talking data cost.
Absolutely. So our team spend a lot of time and we also spend, personally as founders, a lot of time in the township because we went through these pandemics that literally impacted millions of South Africans.
Right.
And we're very proud of our brand and spending time in the township. What was very interesting is people approaching us and saying to us, you allowed me to transact for the first time online. I was able to buy nappies for the first time. I didn't have a credit card, but you guys empowered me. And we started, trying to understand what was the other problem. And these are some of the comment that you heard in the video, and it's like, how can we solve the problem about data? And then we realized it's simple. We can pay for it. South African doesn't have to pay for it. What is the next problem? Next problem is a technical problem.
Yes.
How do you create an app that doesn't take space on a phone? So this was a bit out of my expertise. So that's why I had to basically brainstorm with our partners. And that's when Mitch came about an idea, which is a PWA, which is a very new technology, which ultimately is an app based in the cloud. So now we've solved two problems. We've solved the access to data. We solved the space problem on the phone. Now there's another challenge. In South Africa, let's talk about Johannesburg as an example. 40% of the people in Joburg do not speak English. So again, you know, like for us, it was quite a serious problem because cash is not getting better. Pandemic taught us that you cannot basically transact with cash anymore. It's very risky. You must think about elderly people having to basically go there. And for us is we can empower South Africans to do all of this from the comfort of their home. And the only problem that we have to solve is translate our payment flow in 11 languages. So I made it sound easy.
Yeah.
But obviously, they made it look easy. and our commitment has always been that if you want to be an impactful business, you need to address the need of your consumer. And for us, this is what we live by. So we solve all of these problems, and we took the commitment that by the end of this year, we'll have Ozow translated in all 11 languages.
Yeah. I'm interested in this guy from Vleerhof. And how does this guy from Vleerhof end up in the tech business? Yeah. So I just, before we get into, because one of the things I think that's often missing when like people look at innovative businesses that are disruptive is what is the driver behind the people who are the drivers of the business? So I'm curious, like, I mean, you look like you're old enough to be one of those guys who had a TV game before we had PlayStation.
Yes.
Did you have one of those 1001 cassettes?
Yeah, but
and you got to game 994 and it wasn't playing anymore? So how did
you have to take it out and blow it.
And you blow? Yeah. So I'm curious, before we start talking Ozow, how did you get into tech? How did you find yourself in this incredible space?
Yeah, okay, so firstly, I think I told you yesterday as well, there are a lot of people in tech. In Vleerhof, in townships, in lesser communities,
100%.
They just get distracted by other things, and then end up in a different destination than where they should. For me, I've always been a bit more of a creative, so I would say the first tech stuff I played with was music stuff, vinyls, playing around with mixers, sound desks, and Lyle is more of the logical thinker. And that way you come up with the same product. With that going into, growing up, I got into a financial industry very early. I started working for a brokerage that works on the JSE and seeing how the numbers tick over, not knowing that there was that much money in South Africa. I was like, okay, you need to stay in the financial industry and work on this and build from that. And once you pick an industry, you start noticing problems. And I mean, Thomas has noted quite a few. A lot of it has been with regards to financial inclusion, digital currency, and data. I mean, as time has gone on, things have changed. I mean, we went from PCs to phones, and I can shop online before you have to go into store. If you look at where we are today, yeah, the zero-rated thing is a big thing. I mean, data is very expensive. Here, I went to Lagos. It's completely different there. It's a lot cheaper there. It's and you're getting people that are a lot younger now, a lot more tech savvy. They understand how these things work, but they just don't have the access to
100%.
So how do we give the access to them and make them feel that they are worthy of it? Some people think, take a lot's not for me. Take a lot's for
100%
for somebody else. And I like that, shops like Checkers have come into the space. And they've started doing a digital online shopping and they deliver within 60 minutes. But you don't stop there. You can go on to a Takealot. You can go on to any of our other merchants.
100% right. One of the challenges we face in South Africa is convincing everyone that digital actually is for everyone. That there's no barrier to it, right? And in part, that barrier has been precisely because the cost to access digital has been so high. So I want you to tell us a bit about this Oz app.
As Oz app. So It's quite amazing, I think. Firstly, I just want to tell you where it came from, what stemmed from it.
Yeah.
So Thomas, again, he alluded to the pandemic. Nobody predicted this thing. I mean, we planned in a way as a company of what we were going to do. And we wanted digital inclusion. We were working towards it. But the pandemic, I think, just brought it faster than what we expected. And I mean, the numbers came out yesterday, the 51% decrease in the GDP. I think it was expected, looking at also what happened in the States. A lot of people were going to lose their jobs. And I mean, there's only two options, I think, to people. People will be left with is crime or start your own business. No, nobody wants to do crime. So how do we spur on entrepreneurship? How do we enable guys? How do we empower them in order to make money, to feed themselves, and in turn grow the economy slowly, step by step? So we created this thing called Ozow, which firstly is a progressive web app, and progressive web app takes no space on your phone at all. It is basically a web page which can be stored on your phone as an offline version of a web page. It takes very, very little space and acts and interacts with you as if it was a normal native app. So it's quite incredible. What we've done for merchants, or rather entrepreneurs, they can sign up easily on the app by just taking a selfie. We then have taken the background.
So just taking a selfie?
Just taking a selfie, yeah. So they just take, which is a normal thing that somebody would do.
Yeah.
You know, you just take a selfie of yourself. We have taken the background that verifies this person's identification. We will then build a figure profile of them and open up an account for them. As long as they have a bank account, they can process through us and they can start their business.
I'd love to see the video. Then I want to chat to the other guy from Vleerhof. And I want to hear his story, right? But let's have a look at this quick video, which gives us a breakdown of what we're talking about here. Absolutely love it. So apparently Vusi owns a horse business. Absolutely love it. What did we just watch, Lyle?
Ozow has been in store for quite some time now.
Right.
We are in the business of simplifying payments.
Right.
And in essence, simplifying people's lives.
Right.
So obviously in store, you don't want to be in this long queue.
Right.
Trying to put in your password and remember things like that. So we've taken this to the next level. We've created this patent pending a disruptive technology called Ozopin. This basically allows 7 out of 8 South Africans to pay anyone in store or online in a matter of seconds. So,
anyone in store online in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So this conversation we were having yesterday when we were prepping for this, we spoke about this decaching thing. Right. Like I'm a 2-year-old. Just explain to me what you mean by decaching.
So basically everyone needs cash.
Right. Right.
It actually doesn't only limit to people in the townships.
Right.
I mean, all of us have been in a situation where you in store, the card machines aren't working, and then you're left with that choice of, should I go to the ATM and wait in that queue, or should I leave the store without my goods?
100%. I've been there a couple of times.
Anyone also that's taken a taxi also knows, like, I mean, you need to throw a bunch of cash.
100%.
You need to keep that cash at home, and you need to like limit it throughout the month. You need to keep certain cash for your travel every day. So basically, Ozopin, along with Ozap, allows people to basically not have to carry cash around. So the more the merchants that come on board and start accepting this as a payment method, you could eventually one day be paying for your taxi fare using Ozap and Ozopin.
I've got one question, and either of you can take this question. What's the cost for all of this? Because it sounds very expensive.
I'll let Thomas take this one.
Look, I think, you know, as we've said, for us, what was very important is to impact South African where it's most needed. Payment is extremely expensive. Cash handling, very expensive.
That's right.
You talk about card payment is very expensive.
That's right.
But for us, it was not so much about the cost of an EFT, because there's no really cost of doing a bank payment for anyone. But for merchant, we wanted to provide an impactful payment method. And we decided, why not make it free? Why not offering SMEs and individual an option to pay for the first 12 months, free of charge, up to the first million? Empowering them to build their business through this journey. We all basically come from a startup background. We understand the challenge of having to give 3-5% fees away from a payment perspective. And we decided as a business to take it up on us, like the cost of data, to do our good deed in a market where we could make a difference.
Yeah, I've got a hearing problem, but I thought I heard you say free.
Correct.
So I want to make sure I understand. What do you mean by free?
So
I'm a small merchant. I run Vusi's Wors.
Absolutely.
Mitch shows up and he wants to buy a kilo of my stuff.
Precisely. You or 5 million sole proprietor
100%.
and SMEs in South Africa can use Ozow free of charge for the first 12 months up to R1 million a month. And it doesn't stop there. You know, this pandemic taught us a lot about the challenges we faced in South Africa. And NPO and NGO has done a tremendous job at raising money.
Yeah.
But again, you got the fee associated with it. I cannot donate cash at the moment. It's very risky. So we took upon us and we said, you know what, we want to make a difference also. But for NPO and NGO, we'll make it free for life. Because again, they should not have to pay.
Yeah, look, there's also another cost aspect to it as well, from a payer's perspective. So yes, we've enabled entrepreneurs now greatly, and Vusi Thembekwayo is up and running, and I want a kilo of it, but I don't have data on my phone.
100%.
So how do I do this? So Thomas also mentioned this earlier, but mention it again. It's reverse bill, therefore you don't need data to process a payment on Ozow or Ozap, which is the application itself. So you could actually walk into a store, and it's fairly simple. You just click on a button that says scan, you scan a QR code, and then the payment happens.
I want to make sure I understand this.
Yeah.
So I'm the user buying the product. I'm the consumer.
Yeah.
You're telling me I don't need data on my phone.
No data.
I'm the merchant accepting the product, and you're telling me I can do this for free.
Absolutely. For the first 12 months.
Of course. I mean,
For the
first 12 months up to $1 million a month. But still,
Absolutely.
What you've done here is, because we've always had an issue with the base of that pyramid, right? Where actually the majority of economic activity happens. I can tell you for free because I've read all the stats. The majority of economic activity in South Africa happens at the base of the pyramid. The problem is it's hard to quantify because it's the cash economy. So nobody actually knows which money is going where and to which point. And for everybody who wants to become part of the formal economy, it's very hard to do because you don't actually have a digital inclusion instrument. You're saying to me that now for those people, there is an actual solution that they can use.
Absolutely.
100%.
And
What happens if I'm in if I owe Mitch money, which would never happen. You know, a guy like me would never owe a guy like that money. You know, I feel like guys with beards.
I need a refund
always-
on the board.
So what happens if I owe you money? You said to me, dude, you know, we went out for drinks yesterday.
Yeah.
You owe me $50. You said you'd pay it. Can I use the Ozow platform for that?
100%, and this is a massive, massive issue that we needed to solve because a lot of people are spotting each other, and to get their money back, first you have to beg and plead, and once you finish begging and pleading, you have to pass your banking details over to them and then wait. You're at their mercy for them to pay whenever they feel like it, and it's human nature to procrastinate. But what if you could just send a simple link and make it easy for your debtor to pay you? So we've created something called peer-to-peer payments, which is part of the Ozow app, where you could just say, request money, you put in the person's phone number, as well as the amount, and you can send it through.
But it doesn't stop there. Because ultimately you send the link, but it's up to you, Vusi, to pay back.
Yeah.
So Ozow keep record of who you basically send a payment request to, and it displays to you who's paid and who hasn't. Comes the end of the month on the 25th when everyone gets paid. Just open your Ozow and you can send a reminder and make sure
Hold on.
that Vusi pays back the money that is due.
But you do understand that there's a million applications for this. So if you're in a Stockveld, right?
Absolutely.
Right? The biggest issue always with Stockvelds is my mom is in one. So she's got to go on Friday to the bank to get cash. And then she's got to go on Saturday to the Stockveld to deposit the money. If what you're saying, then she can just pay the money into the Stockveld account, and she can do it without even having to leave the comfort of her home and make the payment.
Precisely. You know, I think we're going to address a very serious topic, which is, you know, the challenge that people have in rural area.
100%.
I was meeting with someone that explained me coming from Limpopo, from a very remote rural places where the chief basically made sure that they collected cash together for the Stockville they required, and they had to travel 67 kilometers in order to go to the local bank. 3 people pay the taxi fare just to deposit that money.
Sure.
The Ozow Revolution fixes those issues, empowers unprivileged South Africans, and gives them access to financial inclusion and digital inclusion. And these are not buzzwords. These are actions that we're taking as a business, and we're making sure that we're empowering an entire nation with this.
Very powerful. Lyle, you had a video to show us. Jeez, guys, this is really, I'm actually jealous, if I'm honest. There's one tiny, eeny-weeny little problem. I like it. I mean, I like the story. I like the PIN. I like the peer-to-peer payments. I like the inclusion. I like the zero cost. But you know, I'm a South African, so I'm allowed to be unreasonable. There's one tiny, eeny-weeny little problem. Language, right? But I want to use it because ultimately you're saying it's for me, right? Is it possible to have this available in any of the other official languages apart from English?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so like Thomas said, this is something we're working towards, looking to have it ready by the end of the year. So basically our platform will be, you'll be able to switch to your preferred language to make payments. And we should start with the next few languages very soon. So yeah, that's always looking to include everyone to transact in their own language.
I think, you know, ultimately, we're not trying to solve the problem of the 8-9 million South Africans that have credit card. You know, ultimately, from an impact perspective, we're looking at all South Africans that live in the unprivileged communities that do not speak English, and that requires to be able to be empowered with the OZAP in order to make payment. So we've done already translation in 5 languages, and we hope to have them implemented very quickly. These are the most 5 popular, and we should have the remaining 6 languages before the end of the year available.
So as we speak, you've already done the first 5?
First 5, and we're busy basically going live with them over the next few months.
Look, if I could share a bit of a story, I moved to Cape Town for 2 years, a few years ago. Yeah, I lived close to the winelands, and some guys from Vusi came to put compost on my grass, and there seemed to be a bit of a issue between me saying put 1 bag on, and they understood that they should put 15 bags on. So I entertained the Afrikaans in the beginning, and if you've spoken to somebody from the winelands, it's kind of like a Frenchman speaking Afrikaans. So it's quite difficult to understand as well as to communicate. But as soon as we got to the money aspect, I just felt uncomfortable not speaking a language I understood. So I switched to English immediately.
Right.
And started going with that. And I can assume the same with everything. And anybody that gets to a point where you're starting to speak about their well-being, their money, they're always going to feel uncomfortable if they don't necessarily understand the words that's written on the paper, on the screen, or that's coming out of your mouth. But if you can speak to them in something that makes them feel comfortable, you'll gain the trust and you'll gain their business. And therefore, we're going for this 11 languages.
It's been it's a roller coaster of learning, right? Because we've talked a bit about disrupting the point of sale ecosystem, removing the friction, taking away the hardware, utilizing cloud-based technology on a point of sale. You've got this PIN. Yeah, this is for me. So there's point of sale, PIN, peer-to-peer, all of these P's that you guys are just going after, and now you're talking also about language. I mean, guys, I don't, I'm a finance guy. I don't want to sound overly pessimistic, but is this doable? It's a hell of a lot to take on in terms of your innovation runway and your product development runway to load all of this on.
So look, it was a big challenge. I mean, when this pandemic basically happened, we realized that as a matter of emergency, as a collective, we need to basically make sure that we come up with that solution. It's not perfect. It's live as of today. We started this revolution, which is not about the product launch, but it's about empowering South Africa. And it's working. We'll basically make sure that we keep optimizing. We want to listen to what consumers have to say and what merchants have to say. But if there's one thing that you know about Ozow is we've got this constant fight to make it as easy as possible. Again, there shouldn't be any barrier to be technology savvy and then elderly can't use it. The purpose of the Ozopin is not only to make it convenient, but also for your mother to be able to use it without any friction.
Gotcha.
As long as she can remember, and many others remember the 4-digit PIN, they'll be able to transact online and in stores without any friction.
Because this issue about the PIN is always, as I understand it, I mean, it's fundamentally a security issue that we're talking about, right? So it's how do I access the pot of gold where my money is sitting, but at the same time be secure enough, knowing that nobody can just access that pot of gold apart from me, right?
Absolutely.
And how do I do so without having to remember a complicated set of information? So username, card name, PIN, password. So what you're saying is basically you've simplified all of this into a single platform, which is just a PIN, and it takes you immediately into the pot of gold that you're talking about.
Exactly. No longer the need to queue at any ATM to draw cash or anything like this. Literally. Life change.
So let me ask the big risk question. Talk to me about the information. Where's my information going to be sitting?
So we won't go into too much detail.
Yeah, of course, but high level.
Yeah, like we said, it's a patent pending method that we've developed, right? And I think what's important to mention is that from the beginning, when we started this whole process of introducing Ozopin, customer security was always our core focus. Once we were done developing it, we got one of the top information security firms in South Africa to audit it. So we've actually gone through quite a bit of effort to ensure that our customers can transact easily, but without compromising their security.
I have to ask, every business has a core purpose. Like, there's got to be a reason you wake up every morning, brush your teeth, put on your best attire. Well, you guys are techie, so you basically put on the same attire you put on the day before. Just different clothing, but same look, right?
Definitely.
I imagine you guys are like, you got same T-shirt, same jeans, but you got 7 of each, Monday to Sunday, right? I've invested in a few tech businesses, so I know them all too well. But I've got to ask, for each of you lads, what's that like core burning reason that you do what you do? Start with you.
Me, well, you can see by my get-up already. I'm about Africa. I don't know why we are so behind. We have all the natural resources. We have a bunch of people that are amazing thinkers, amazing problem solvers, and I don't see why we're falling behind, why we need to beg and borrow from the rest of the world. So it's about upliftment of not just your community, but further than that, the country, the province, and then Africa as a whole. Getting us trading and just living a life that is livable, put it that way. Something that's not, a constant struggle through life, yeah.
Thomas, same question to you. What's that burning desire, that big reason?
For us, the journey is very important. So being able to build a team together that's impacting so many people and businesses, especially in a situation like we're going through at the moment, is quite important and fulfilling. But ultimately, there's 2 very important points that are part of our culture and purpose at Ozow. Many investors, businesses, why are you doing all of this free? You could do it cheaper, but why free? Do you know how it feels when you wake up in the morning and you know that you're able to do this good to millions of South African and businesses? You cannot buy that. And for us, it's something that is quite key and important. We are blessed, like you say. We have clients like Enterprise, International, Uber, Amazon, Facebook. But you know what? Ultimately, what's important for us is like, we think your small business is a big deal.
Lyle?
Yeah, it's a tough question, but I think ultimately it comes down to adding value, making a difference, spreading positive energy. I think everyone has the desire to leave the world in a better place than they found it. And I think once you find something that actually makes an impact in people's lives, it makes life a lot easier. So I found that at Ozow. And we see it touching people's lives. So it's actually quite easy to come to work in the morning.
It's very exciting, right? Working on something you believe that actually makes a difference. It's very exciting. And I got to tell you, that's maybe 1% of the working population in the world. You know, most people are cogs in a machine. To actually be a part of a revolution, something that makes a difference, is a big, big deal. Big deal. Got a couple of questions here. So let's see if we can take the first batch of questions. So Claire asks the question, how do you ensure a secure platform? We had the conversation earlier about security. You told me that the platform had been audited by one of the leading firms. But how do you ensure a secure platform? At the end of the day, we're dealing with people's money.
There's a lot of standard around the world, you know. Obviously, online payment and pretty much even in-store payment are regulated around the world. And when it comes to compliance, what we looked at is what's the most stringent that we could adhere to. You know, what we're doing is disruptive. It's very innovative. South African Reserve Bank is leading the way with Vision 2025. And from our perspective, what we wanted to do ahead of the regulation coming in, we wanted to make sure that we could offer a safe and secure environment. So we took the most stringent environment that we could adhere to, which is a PCI DSS level 1 security standard. And as much as for card, you know, it remains the same. It's all about encryption and security aspect, and we basically make sure that we adhere to it. But we didn't stop there. Like Lyle mentioned, we made sure that we took the leading security company in South Africa, the same companies that also audit banks, and we make sure that they audited our platform, but they also continue doing so on a monthly basis to make sure that not only our consumers' data and merchant is safe, but more importantly, that we can also sleep at night with peace of mind.
There's a question here from Nafisa. It says, does the scan to pay via QR code integrate with banking apps?
So you always get your second factor authentication. That security sits with the bank always. We don't want to take away from what the bank has put in place. We're just adding the convenience aspect and still keeping the security in place. So there is a partnership that happens. You would use our app to initiate payments, but you still have to interact with your banking app to authenticate the payment.
Right, that's what we did yesterday,
Yes.
right, when we were running through.
100%.
If you think about it, banks have done an absolute astonishing job at basically offering a secure platform. You don't want to remove that security away.
Sure.
So for us, it was important to make sure that we keep it in place.
Sure. Next question. Do you think it's possible, ever, for Africa to reach a true cashless society?
That's an interesting question. I mean, we spoke about it very often. If you look at Sweden, 99% of payment now are made digitally. There's no more cash. I think they're 1% away from removing cash. Is it possible? If someone's done it, surely it's going to be possible. More importantly, it's with disruptive company like Ozow that will be able to get there. And with the support of the bank and the support of, you know, regulatory body, I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to start this revolution in South Africa and expand it to the rest of the continent. That's for sure.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, India has gotten it right, but it did take regulators to get involved to enforce it. And I mean, you just mentioned about Somaliland carrying piles of money as well. So the problems exist. It's your currency devalues, so you have to carry a lot more money. If you've gone to other countries where, call it emerging markets, the money is very, very dirty. So you don't really want to touch it. And especially in a pandemic, it's a health risk. So I think that will spur on regulators to partner with companies such as an Ozow to power that. Because a regulator on their own can just make the rules. You still need the drivers to drive the solutions.
So I like this expression, this phrase you used about, we think your small business is a big deal. It's pretty cool.
We like it too.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I feel like I should coin it as a phrase and then bill you guys for it. I think your small business is a big deal.
It's not new, but we can echo it. We can resonate with it. And we feel millions of South Africans can too.
Yeah,
especially in this economy.
It would translate like so beautifully, right? So we think your small business is a big deal. So cabanga ukuthi business lakho. You know, it's got such a beautiful ring. You know, it's such a beautiful ring to it. I'm coining it, and then I'm going to make you guys pay for it. Right?
Okay.
Yes.
But what I'm going to do, because we've got 11 official languages, I'm going to charge you a license fee for each language. I'm not going to be unreasonable, okay? For the first 1 million uses every month, you can get it for free. But then after that, every time you go, ons dink jou besigheid is beter geworden, then I'm going to charge you guys. So I'm just like, Oaks, you got to pay me. You got to pay me, right? And I'll take payment in equity. I don't really need that. What do you say? Because I know he's going to disagree. My brother's here from Vleerhof. You guys like this idea.
I'll only agree if you say it again in 2 more languages.
So I'll give you Zulu. Sicabanga ukuthi business lakho elincane libalulekile. Yeah?
One more.
I'll give it to you in Sesotho. Re nagana gore kgwebo ya hao e nyenyane ke ntho ya bohlokwa.
Okay.
Well
Okay.
done.
Yeah. I mean,
Impressive.
what can I say? Thank God for the auto cue. Great, we've got one more video. Everybody joining us, have a quick look at this.
You got to say, when you look at what makes South Africa what it is today as a rainbow nation, the 11 languages is what glues us together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I think the real thing about South Africans is we are our own biggest critics. We forget, actually, just how great we are as a country. Not to say the stuff we don't need to fix, but we forget that we have an amazing opportunity here. We can really be part of something exciting. Guys, I'm so excited for you guys. I'm excited for your journey ahead. I feel like you're just at the beginning of what's going to be an incredible journey ahead. And I wish you the best of luck. Let's get this closing comments from each of you. We're going to start with you now, because I kept starting with him. That's like closing comments from you. What do you want our media partners to remember? What do you want the ecosystem to remember?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, I think, like we said, it's a journey, a revolution. This is the start of the revolution. So by no means is this over. This is just the beginning. So yeah, just remember that things will keep on getting better. We'll keep on striving to make payments simpler and include more and more people in this digital payments revolution.
Love it. Thomas?
You talk about ecosystem, and I think what's important for us is we wouldn't be here today without the support of millions of South Africans who have been using us for the past 6 years already. Sorry. You know, we're looking at the number, 100,000 new South Africans using us every month, and this number is growing. So at the end of the day, this ecosystem is where it is today, and Ozow has grown where it is today because of the support of South Africa.
Yeah, from my point of view, what really excites me is seeing great innovations, new apps in the market. You know, when somebody says, have you tried this app, have you seen this? And that would not necessarily be us generating or creating those apps. That would be the people of South Africa creating that on the platform that we've built for them. So just the fact that we gave, you know, this little flat surface, and we're going to see some columns being added to that, some roofs, you know, doors, windows. That's exciting for me. But from our side, yes, we've put down that flat platform, but we also bring in the electrical points now, as well as the plumbing. So this is not it. It doesn't stop here. There's still a lot more coming that's going to enable South Africans.
I mean, in my mind, I think one of the things we forget is we've spoken about this 51% reduction in GDP third quarter. We went into this already at a 30% unemployment rate. The narrowest definitions tell us we'll come out of it at around a 36% unemployment rate. And one of the main challenges we've always faced has been around how do we make sure that we get inclusion and participation of people who are at the bottom rungs, who are probably going to be the most affected, by the way, by those retrenchments and massive company layoffs, have a skill and want to participate in the economy, but they don't necessarily have the infrastructure to do it. And I think what you guys have built here is absolutely, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, but if I can add to that, it's we all have a part to play in it.
Yeah.
Bank have to come in. Everyone has to basically get an opportunity. And I think that from a fintech perspective, we have the agility, we have the innovation, and it's very important for us to be able to collaborate with bank in order to empower the economy and serve South African a lot better. So we surely hope that as the Ozow evolve, that in the near future you'll be able to see our QR code within the banking app directly. That would be great.
Well, it would be fantastic.
Very cool stuff. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Remember, again, hashtag Ozow Revolution on all of the social media platforms. Go and find the Ozow platform, find out a bit more about it. But here's the best way to do it. Just do what I did. Actually test it. Try and use it. Thank you so much to the friends of media who've joined us. Thank you for all the questions. And thank you once again for being a part of the revolution. Cheers.
Thank you.